A place where monkeys are the colour of gold, where goods are made for the afterlife, and the spirit is free to fly on ancient peaks. In the world's most populous country, nature and peace endure in the mountains. Mount Fanjing is one of the 5 holiest mountains in China. It is said that the Buddha performed rites to save the souls of the dead here amongst its limestone pinnacles. Mount Fanjing means pure Buddhist land. The dense forests that cover its slopes have never been touched by humans. A secretive creature was found living inside these woodlands just 4 decades ago. The rarest of monkeys, the Guizhou golden monkey. Yang Yujin has led research into the monkey since 1975. But the monkeys managed to avoid humans before the scientists arrived and seem keen to keep it that way.
The monkeys can sense humans coming from a long distance, so they just retreat. And on top of that, Mount Fanjing has thick forests, steep hills, and deep ravines. You might see a group of monkeys on the far side of a gully, but you have to walk from morning till night to get over there. Of course, by the time you reach the spot, the monkeys have gone already.
Mount Fanjing is in the province of Guizhou in south-central China. It is in the center of a 567 square kilometer nature reserve, covered in some of the world's last remaining subtropical forests. For 5 months of the year, temperatures fall below freezing where the golden monkeys live. Mount Fanjing is their only home, and there are less than 700 of them left. Thanks to the efforts of Yang Yijin, 95% of the reserve is off-limits to tourists, so the monkey still has very little contact with humans. Except for researchers like young student Noi Keifeng. He is experimenting with new methods of observing the monkeys, so even the scientists can keep their distance.
We can install the infrared cameras on those trees and make the cameras shoot towards this side. We can get the shots of monkeys if they come this way. Be careful. You can step there. You can stop for a while. Don't climb in a hurry. Be careful.
Humans must return to the trees to study the Guizhou golden monkey. Camera traps are not usually used to observe primate behavior, but these monkeys are different from other species. They hide from humans and live in a dense wilderness. 40 cameras will be set up in the study site. They will record around the clock.
It works. Turn the light off and we can go. Okay, let's go.
Will the Guizhou golden monkeys invite their primate relatives into their secret world? It took over a decade for Yang Yujin to estimate the population size was less than 700. But the more humans know about the monkey's behavior, the better they can protect it. Northeast of Mount Fanjing, in the province of Anhui, another sacred mountain rises 1,760 meters, Mount Tianzhu. The name means heaven's pillar. Mount Tianzhu has 45 granite peaks. Rare and important minerals, usually found deep beneath the ocean bed, have been discovered here. It's right on a major fault line where weathering, erosion and collapse have shaped the rock formations and boulder fields into a giant's playground. Its beauty has drawn emperors, poets and sages. The quiet of Mount Tianzhu attracted Wei Ping.
It's so beautiful, so very peaceful here, sitting opposite Mount Tianzhu. The emptiness behind me is so wide and expansive. Being surrounded by nature makes me feel tolerant of everything in this world.
Wei Ping was born in the foothills of Mount Tianzhu. As a girl, she would climb the mountain to fetch water and would often sleep on its summit. Now she practices Buddhism on the slopes of Mount Tianzhu at the Jidian convent. The convent was established in 1664. Wei Ping is the fashi, or master of Jidian. She gives spiritual guidance and administers day-to-day convent business. Rice fields, gardens, fir trees and tall bamboo forests surround the temples and residents. 11 nuns live here permanently, working hard to keep Jidian self-sufficient. They grow their own rice and hand process it.
When we grow food, we try not to use any chemicals in order to keep the land, our water, and everything else healthy. I want to protect the land. I have no real power to protect it, but I want to protect it just the same. That's all.
The mountains offer the peace and tranquility most important for the Buddhist nuns' spiritual practice. Living here helps them avoid the greed and temptations of the city. There's a saying that only experienced Buddhists can live in the noisy city and maintain a peaceful heart. But lately, the peace of Jidian has been shattered. A new building is being erected to replace the Great Hall that once housed Jidian's giant golden Buddha.
We were worried when we had to move the Buddha out of the old building, and now we're not so confident we can move him back safely. We pray every day and believe that he is powerful enough to avoid any accident, but we still feel uneasy.
Wei Ping has taken on the role of supervising the construction. She's had to learn on the job.
If I were to hire a building contractor, it would save me a lot of work. But we would have to pay them on the contracted pay date. What if we don't have enough money then?
So Wei Ping always makes sure she has enough cash donations from the local Buddhist community before she asks anyone to work. And she does what she can to move the process along. There is need for speed. Soon Wei Ping will leave Jidian to go on an important pilgrimage. She would like to oversee the pouring of the Great Hall's foundations before that journey begins. She plans to visit the land called the Pure Buddhist Land, Mount Fanjing. Mount Fanjing, where Buddha once visited, and where the Guizhou golden monkey lives. On slopes where untouched forests grow out of limestone rocks, and where the waters of nearly 100 streams still run crystal clear and clean. Clean enough for a critically endangered giant to find shelter in slippery rock crevices. The Chinese giant salamander is the world's largest amphibian close to extinction because of polluted waterways. In the remote waters of Mount Fanjing, it can grow to the size of a human. It can detect the slightest vibrations in the water, which makes it a hunter whose chief weapon is surprise. But it's rarely seen anymore in the rest of China. When the rivers leave the protected area of Mount Fanjing, they flow into surrounding lowlands. Some go underground as they seep right through the porous limestone rock that covers the area. In a small village called Yusha, there's a magic blue pond. Its waters are exceptionally clean and are said to have youth-giving properties. No one knows how deep it is. During droughts, the water level never drops. The people of Yusha have given the pond the name Shenlong Tam. This is young Heiping. Like all of the people who live in Yusha, he is Tuzha, a minority group in China, descendants of the ancient Ba kingdom. They were warrior chieftains who once ruled the mountains. But today, Heiping is a papermaker.
Bamboo is the raw material for making paper. Once it's mashed, I'll put it in the tub here and turn it into paper. We cut the bamboo from high hills and chop them into pieces. The water's from Shenlong Tan, the magic pond. We've dug a ditch to make sure all of us paper makers can get enough water to make paper.
The bamboo pulp must be mixed thoroughly so the plant fibres float evenly throughout the water. This stops lumps forming. Heiping then catches the fibres on a special screen. His actions are now critical. As he moves the screen in and out of the water, he must ensure the fibres are spread uniformly across its surface, because once the water has drained away, the fibres are set. He can make thousands of sheets a day this way. Life in Yusha revolves around the waterways. Strict rules have been put in place by the Tuzha's council to make sure Shenlong Tang Pond remains in a pristine state. The papermaker's wife, Jidian, takes care to wash her vegetables in the right area.
If we wash in the magic pond, we might dirty it. We must pay attention to hygiene because we drink this water. So we have specially built areas for household work.
A small dam controls the water flow into the domestic use area. That water is then filtered and sent further downstream, where ducks can swim and food can be prepared. Back at the paper shed, Yang Heiping has just about used up his supply of bamboo pulp.
This paper is different from others. Its quality is very high. We call it Tujia paper.
They say that the Tujia people learned papermaking directly from Tsai Luen, the inventor of paper in the 2nd century. When it comes to squeezing the last drop of Shenlong tan water from his paper, Yang Heiping uses ancient handmade devices that require the minimum strength to exert maximum pressure.
I'm old now, so I can't make a lot. Now I make probably around 5 tons of paper per year. So I earn around $4,000 a year.
The papermaker lives on a building site. His old house fell down. He's gradually adding rooms as he makes enough money to buy building materials. Yang Heiping and Ji Fu are typical village grandparents. They raise their grandchild while their sons and daughters live in the city to earn money. Yang Heiping spends his days and nights making paper so he can finish his house. To the far northeast of the papermaker's village, on the slopes of Mount Tianzhu, construction on the Great Wall has stopped for the day because Wei Ping's convent has guests.
Today is the first day of the 9th month of the lunar calendar, a feast day in honor of people who've done good deeds.
The lay Buddhists who live in the villages surrounding Jidian come to pray for family and career, to donate money, and to help the nuns. That includes volunteering for some difficult tasks. Weevils have been found in some bags of rice from last year's harvest. They must be separated from the grain without killing one single insect, because Buddhists respect all living things.
We believe in Buddhism, and we're lay Buddhists. We come here for Buddha, and so everyone can be good.
And for the ladies' goodness and respect for life, the weevils may be thankful. Today, the nuns are asked to bless vehicles, a ritual led by Wei Ping to protect drivers from harm on the winding mountain roads. Lunch is at 12 sharp, and everyone will be fed, no matter how many people are present. The nuns cook using their convent-grown food, as well as noodles and spices brought by the visitors. The food is completely vegetarian, and not a scrap will be wasted. There were times when Buddhists were afraid to gather like this. During the Cultural Revolution from 1966 to 1976, they were persecuted and sent for re-education. Wei Ping's own spiritual master ran the convent then. She refused to leave.
During the Cultural Revolution, my master stayed here, determined to protect Jidian.
All across the sacred Mount Tianzhu landscape, where Buddhism had been practiced for over 1,000 years, young armed revolutionaries destroyed temples and killed monks and nuns. But it was a Communist Party member who managed to save the 400-year-old convent and Wei Ping's master.
There was an agricultural production brigade in the village. The secretary of the brigade set up an office here in the convent to protect Jidian. That ensured that the people didn't destroy the convent. Otherwise, Jidian would have been torn down by the Red Guards. He was the one who saved this place with his wisdom.
At the end of the day, when the visitors have gone, the oldest nun in Jidian sifts the rice. She has worked in the fields around Mount Tianzhu all of her life, through famine and revolution. The drum calls for silence and sleep. Tomorrow, construction on the Great Hall will resume. While the other nuns dream, the old nun stays awake. She has dedicated the rest of her life on earth to reading Buddhist texts. Back in Guizhou province, at the base of Mount Fanjing, young Eugene is driving Nui Kufeng to a monkey refuge. Eugene is a man of many guises. He is head of research for the Fanjing Nature Reserve, and he's also the commander of Fanjing's forest police. He has the power to apprehend and arrest environmental lawbreakers and poachers. The monkey refuge is tucked away inside the Mount Fanjing Reserve. Many of the monkeys here are victims of poaching, or were being kept illegally as pets. This Tibetan macaque's mother was killed for her fur. Once he is old enough to feed himself, he'll be released back into Mount Fanjing Reserve. This refuge is the only place where the Guizhou golden monkey can be seen up close. There's a male and a female here. These animals may have to stay behind bars for the rest of their lives. They would probably no longer survive in the wild.
Some villagers found this male Guizhou golden monkey outside of the nature reserve. He was very weak. Then we heard about it. We contacted the villagers and we brought him here to look after him. Now he's much healthier. Stop grabbing the food. We saved his life.
The new male shares a cage with a swinging female who is ready to mate. Once the male has become aroused, it won't be safe for any other male primate to be inside the cage. Mr. Nui has been warned.
When a golden monkey shows its canine teeth, you know you can't approach him. If you do, he might bite or attack you. See how the male monkey puts his hands on the female's shoulder. Although they've only just moved in together, it seems they have affection for each other.
For a vegetarian, this monkey has major canine teeth.
They're approaching. There's a special odor when the male ones pass by. You can smell it. When we are in the wild and walking in the forest, sometimes it's really strong. When you smell that smell, it means you're quite close to the monkeys.
Unlike in the forest, Keifeng doesn't need to use his nose to know where the golden monkeys are and what they're up to. It would be very hard for him to witness what happens next in the wild. This pair may never return to the forest, but their offspring will. They'll be released into reserves outside Mount Fanjing, creating new populations of Guizhou golden monkeys. Every Sunday, Han Chinese, the majority group in China, come to visit the Tuzha minority who live in the village of Yusha. But today is Double 9 Day, an important celebration. So people have driven over 4 hours from the city of Tongren, the capital of Guizhou, especially to enjoy Tuzha hospitality. While the Han people play mahjong, traditional Tuzha food is prepared by their hosts. 85-year-old Xie Shengui helps his son and owner of this restaurant pound sticky rice until it forms a glutinous mass. They're making a delicacy called shiba.
Today is a double ninth festival, also called Seniors' Day.
The sticky rice is squeezed into dumplings and dipped in ground dried beans.
The guests are retired people from Tongren. They come here to sing and dance.
And to enjoy shiba rice dumplings. They might be baton-twirling retirees from the city, but Xie Shengui is 20 years their senior and still vital. And because he is a village person, retiring is not an option. Yusha is filled with old people and children. Most of the younger generation are working in the cities. They leave their children to be cared for by their grandparents. Like Xie Shengui, these old people are still very fit. They say they owe their health to the still blue waters of the magic pond.
The water in the magic pond is very good. It's mineral water. It comes from Mount Fanjing. It's not just normal water.
And Zhe has heard of other peculiar things.
They say that dragons once lived here in the magic pond. The older generation told me they saw them sneaking into rice paddies.
Were they real monsters? The waters of Shenlongtan are so clean that the giant salamanders of Mount Fanjing may once have lived here. The papermaker Yang Heping and his wife don't celebrate Seniors' Day. They're in the process of drying their paper. They have a ready market for the paper in their village of Yusha. The old people like to buy Tujia paper because of its quality. Zhe Shengui uses it to make money.
When I punch holes in the paper, it turns into money. It becomes money which our ancestors can use in another world. Buddha can use it as well. I sell it in the town on market day. People buy it to make good wishes. When you buy it, Buddha will bless you and your family, everyone in your family.
High up on Mount Fanjing, where the golden monkeys live, the remote cameras set up by Noi Keifeng are retrieved and transported back to town. This is one of the last times young Eugene will chauffeur his student. He will soon retire from being head of research for Mount Fanjing Nature Reserve. But he won't be handing in his police badge or his car. The researchers have their offices in Jiangkou County, 30 kilometers from Fanjing. This office holds all of the early handwritten data young Eugene and his team compiled during their first years on Mount Fanjing, as they tried to track down and observe the golden monkeys. Even though Noi will now be using digital data, his work is still enormous. Thousands of images must be downloaded from the infrared cameras. 3 images were taken every 10 seconds over 24-hour periods. Noi has to look at every one of them.
Aside from my immediate family, one part of my life belongs to my future wife. The other belongs to the Guizhou golden monkey. But I haven't found a wife yet, so I spend almost all of my life with these monkeys.
Dawn at Mount Tianzhu and the Jidian convent. Today is a very important day. Wei Ping leads the nuns in prayer to bless the workers.
Today we are covering the foundation beams in concrete. We're very busy because some of the details are below standard. If everything is well done, today will go without a hitch. But if not, it will cause problems down the road. So this process is critical.
Wei Ping could not have predicted what would happen. She has hired an expensive concrete pump. Its boom now hangs over the building site. But it's not pouring concrete, because the concrete mixer is parked too far away to transfer the wet concrete to the pump. The operator has walked off the job. The concrete for the foundations may dry before it is even poured. So Wei Ping mobilizes the nuns in order to get the concrete from the mixer to the pump by hand. Only Buddha knows how Wei Ping managed to get the concrete truck operator to resume work. But when the mixer is finally connected to the pump, the concrete flows. The foundations for the Great Hall, where the Golden Buddha will soon shelter, will be successfully laid by the end of the day.
So the work progresses slowly, but it will soon be over.
With the critical work done, Wei Ping is free to go on her pilgrimage. At 8 a.m. the next morning, she leaves Jidian with a companion to fly the 1,000 kilometers southwest to Guizhou province. Wei Ping will make a pilgrimage to the mountain known as the pure Buddhist land, Mount Fenjing. There is one more obstacle for Wei Ping. She has never been in a chairlift. She's afraid of the height. So, instead of listening to the intercom, Wei Ping listens to her inner voice.
Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Tonight the nuns will stay here at the main temple. Early tomorrow morning, they will walk the steps to the middle peak to witness their first sunrise from Mount Fanjing. While reviewing the remote camera images from Mount Fanjing, Noi has found something highly unusual.
Look, this is a leg and this is an eye. Look at this side. They came from here slowly.
They're excited because the images were taken at 3:40 a.m, when other species of monkeys would be fast asleep.
So that's not a reaction to a threat, rather just normal activity.
Noi Keifeng has collected enough images to prove conclusively that the monkeys eat and play at night, just like they do during the day. This unusual behavior may be an adaptation to survival high up on Mount Fanjing. Perhaps the golden monkey eats while it can, when it can, in case food is scarce during the winter. Young Eugene's long years of tough field research are behind him.
When you finish your work and just think about all the things you've been through, it's extremely satisfying. And being able to do this work was a delight and a comfort. It was never just a job. It was a goal that must be achieved.
Finding out more about the Guizhou golden monkey is now Noi Keifeng's goal. In the village of Yusha, the papermaker Yang Heiping goes about his painstaking craft. Shi Shengui turns Heiping's paper into money. At an ancestor's grave, the money leaves this dimension. It travels to the afterlife for the ancestors to spend. But the only way it can get there is to be turned into smoke. On the sacred Buddhist mountain, Wei Ping and her companion walk the last 100 steps to the middle peak to watch their first sunrise from Mount Fanjing.
I think we need to protect this place, protect our planet. Everyone has to do that.